ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Lottery Regulator Press Conference. That's the National Lotteries Commission. That is our job, because we do understand that from time to time you confuse us with those guys who run the numbers. My name is Ndibuo Mafera. I am a staffer of the National Lotteries Commission. Let me not waste your time and ask Prof, the chairperson of the board of the NLC, to come and give you a few words. Prof?
Thank you very much, Mafera, colleagues from National Lotteries Commission. Well, the entire board is not here today. Media, friends who are here, thank you very much for coming. National Lotteries Commission, as you know, it started as a National Lotteries Board through the act that was promulgated in 1997 by Parliament of South Africa. The National Lotteries Commission, as it celebrates the 20 years, it is the organization that is run by a very smallest board in all the entities that I know. Only 6 members that are appointed as independent, non-executive directors, and 1 member from the Ministry of the Department of Trade and Industry. As stipulated in the Acts, the National Lotteries Act, which is amended, it has been amended in 2015. Our job is to regulate lotteries and sport pools. Let me say 80% or 90% of people in South Africa, they regard us as a funding organization. We are not a funding organization. We are a regulator. We regulate the National Lottery and get the proceeds of National Lottery and put them in the trust, which is opened by the non-executive directors of NLC. We've built schools. We have supported arts and culture. We have supported agricultural projects. We participated with SAFA when they were bringing soccer spectacular in South Africa. We contributed 171 million to build artificial turfs. And my knowledge tells me, I understand, we have built 27 across the country. We have renovated some of the stadiums. You go to Umtata Stadium. We went in there and make sure that the stadium becomes a stadium. But we are worried that if 20,000 applications come and we only fund 4,000, because we only have 1.5 billion, we don't have a lot of money. If an organization is not funded, that's not the end of the road. You will be funded next year. So these are some of the criticisms that we receive, and most of them, if you know how to write English, you may rubbish us if you don't come and ask, why did you do this? But if you come, we'll let you know. Thank you very much.
I will now like to call our Commissioner, Meta Bagmampane, to come and give us the statement.
Thank you. Greetings to you all, and thank you, Mafela. The National Lotteries Commission has for the past 20 years been mandated with regulating lotteries and sports pools to make resources available to fund good causes. Our preoccupation is to change lives. This latter determination has been the driving force behind the NLC since its establishment under the Department of Trade and Industry, the DTI. We regulate lotteries and sports pools to fund worthy causes that are aligned to the broader developmental agenda of the country. And as we celebrate 20 years of good service, of empowering lives, of changing lives in South Africa, we'd also like to remember the contribution that was made by Utingo, which got the license in 1999, Gidani, which got the license in 2007, and Ituba, which got the license in 2015. Our work is driven by the hopes of ordinary people, and the NLC funding is channeled to entities working for public benefit and do not seek profit as reward for their community building endeavors. In 20 years, the NLC has granted over 25 billion to over 110,000 projects. This includes 63,038 charity organizations which received 12 billion. Now, if you know how we operate, you'll remember that 47% of the budget that the National Lotteries Commission has to distribute to good causes goes to charities. 13,978 projects were funded in arts and culture. Now, to ensure equitable distribution of funds, we set out focus areas for funding every financial year. We believe that we are an ethical organization that is run by professionals. We have a board of astute leaders, professionals themselves, with 2 accountants, 2 lawyers, 1 an advocate. We also have people with PhD in social sciences who are running the organization of providing leadership to the management team. And we have in the organization 4 chartered accountants. So I'm just sharing this information with you without boasting, so that you can understand the type of organization the NLC is. Thank you for listening to me.
To save you time, because I know these questions are going to come up, I will ask our executive head of legal to actually explain our funding processes.
The Lotteries Commission currently used to be a board. Now, whilst it was a board, it was run under what we used to call the Lotteries Act of 1951 of 1997. What used to happen before in the 1997 Act was that you had this bulk of civil society, NPOs and NGOs, which could, because of the limitations of the Act then and the regulations, they could not qualify for funding within the NLC. So in brief, the 2015 regulations and Act came, and this is what it did. It said, look, instead of saying, if you come to the NLC, come with all these documents, and if you don't have them, you are out. It said, look, let us categorize. You would have an organization that was formed 3 months ago. Let's say it's a small organization. It does not have to have financials. If it has all the normal requirements of registration, and they've opened a bank account, and they've got what you call financial records, they can come and apply. Those who want more than 5 million, more than 500,000 to 5 million, then you're getting into a stage now where there should be some due diligence done. So if you are in that, they say, okay, fine, then bring the financials. If you want 5 million upwards, which we call large grants, then you must bring independently reviewed financials. So if you look at the structure of the NLC, and that is where we always find problems, even when we discuss with lawyers sometimes, where the NLC is a very complex, or it has a very complex structure, which is difficult to understand. And that is why every time when you argue with people, you say, come sit with us so that we can explain. Because you've got the board on top, you've got the commission, you've got distributing agencies. Some people will ask, but we heard about the participant trust, and we've got a trust somewhere there that is formed by the operator. Now, when decisions are taken within the NLC, and that is why you always have to contextualize the information that you get in the public. When decisions are made within the NLC on granting, or on whether to grant or not to grant, these decisions are not made by this entity, but they are made by these committees. Once these decisions are made by these committees, now the entity is there to provide what we call administrative support. So my job is there to advise, to provide support, and to say whether or not a particular application, if there is legal advice required, whether it has all the minimum requirements before it's presented before the DAs. Once that is done, the pack goes to the DAs take a decision on whether or not to fund. Now, after funding, the money then flows into the beneficiary, what we call an NPO. It could be a public benefit trust. Once it is there, remember now you've funded a legal entity, which is by itself an organization, different from the NLC. Out of that, or from that point on, it is that legal entity, separate legal entity, that then goes out to find services to achieve its objective. For instance, you would fund an NPO to build a crash. Now, because it is funded to build a crash, it does not mean the NPO must be into construction or into building. All they have to do is that to get the money, look at what the NLC has approved, and get services, whether it's contractors, whether it's engineers, whether it's to ultimately achieve the purpose for the funding. But all I was saying is that I think we have collective responsibility, or we have a collective responsibility, both as the NLC and as civil society and as those who inform the public, to go deeper into some of these structures and institutions, to understand how they are pegged, to understand their structure, so that when information goes, we are able to understand and either justify or explain better in terms of what would have been in the public domain at a particular point in time. Thanks, Mr. Thank you very much.